This episode is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard of Anchor by Spotify, let me fill you in. So, Anchor has everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. You can record and edit your podcast straight from your computer or your phone, whichever works for you. And it's as simple as downloading the Anchor app or going to anchor.fm. And when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. And the best part about Anchor is that it's 100% free. It's pretty much the ultimate podcast tool at the moment, and honestly, I haven't seen it getting enough attention. We use Anchor for this very podcast, and it has made things 10 times easier because, like I said, it's literally everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Again, go to anchor.fm or download the Anchor app to get started.
What's up, guys? You're listening to the Lucid podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Velma, which I'm sure you've probably heard about. It is a spin-off series of ScoobyDoo, and it's pretty much just being panned all over through critics are panning it and viewers are panning it. Pretty much
everyone hates it.
I honestly haven't seen a show with this much backlash.
Yeah, it's kind of insane.
Normally a dumpster fire, especially if it's more on the woke side of things for the most part. Critics at least like vouch for it and whatnot. But this was just ran through the ringer. Like, this one was pretty much just
dude, like, I don't even know if there's really there's an audience, I guess, but I don't think it's big enough that this won't get canceled after one season.
Yeah, I don't know how much of an audience there really is. Like,
it's not a big
the target demographic of this show? So,
after the first episode, I don't know how many episodes are out. Maybe they're all out. I'm not even sure. I watched one episode. It was probably one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. Like, it was trying so hard to be like, and yeah, like you said, it is kind of woke. You know, they made everyone black. Velma's black. Shaggy's black.
Well, I think Velma's Indian.
Oh yeah, she's not black. She's something else.
She's Indian, and so from what I've seen, it's basically just Mindy Kaling, who obviously most of you have probably heard of. She played Kelly in The Office. I don't necessarily think she's that talented of a comedian. So
I guess that's why they chose her. I don't know.
The full personality behind the show was probably a horrible idea in the first place. And then to have her, basically self-insert. I mean, I'm not sure if she wrote for the show or, what her role exactly, entailed. But it's just kind of ridiculous,
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from this show for me is that, and it clearly was trying to be, it wasn't funny. Like, I don't think I laughed or even smirked a single time watching this show. Like, it was, I don't know, it was trying, like I said, it was trying really hard to be like quirky and different, like trying to be like unique kind of. And it was like, Fred was like, basically Fred was a privileged white guy, cis white male, privileged white male is basically his archetype in that show. So that kind of made me roll my eyes. I was like, okay.
What's kind of funny is even that trope is kind of getting out of hand to where it's like cringeworthy, and it's like
not funny. Like, I don't even understand.
I mean, at this point, they're actually victimizing the cis white males, and
pretty much
see, like, the whole incel culture just kind of, complaining about that. And it's kind of funny because it's like, you're saying that this is a group that is never marginalized, but you're trying to force them to be marginalized. Isn't that the opposite of what you would want to do? Because, like, you're kind of making your point null and void. Like,
yeah, essentially.
I mean, I don't think it's that deep, but it is kind of like, it's pretty ironic,
Yeah, it is. I completely agree. Like, and then Daphne, I think that's her name. Daphne was also just like this, like preppy, like preppy white girl who's just like popular and all this other shit. It's just like
And
it's so
that
tiresome.
was kind of her character somewhat in
Yeah, I guess you
in the
could say that.
Scooby-Doo. So that's
Fred
kind of the
was
only one that I guess is close. But Fred is like a
Fred was not
likable,
like
caring guy.
yeah.
And
Yeah, Fred
all
was
the
like
iterations
actually
of
cool.
Scooby-Doo. He was kind of a douchebag in like the movies, like the live-action movies. They kind of made him a little bit of a douchebag, but even then, he was still kind of likable. Like the one thing. So let me preface this by saying this: I'm a pretty big Scooby-Doo fan, always have been. I literally wore Mystery Machine socks the entire day today. Like, so that kind of tells you. I would say that I'm a pretty big Scooby-Doo fan. Obviously, Scooby and Shaggy are my favorite characters by a lot. And the fact that they made Shaggy a black guy doesn't really matter. No.
No, it doesn't matter, but it's also
I don't
unnecessary.
really see why they did it. Like, here's the thing. Why take an already... It's something that we kind of go through with representation and comics and kind of older IPs a lot, seems like.
Yeah.
Why change established characters that have been the way they are
For years, decades even.
Yeah, decades. Why not just make a new show and do the representation? That way you're starting a new fan base, and then you don't have, you can make it however you want,
Exactly. You could do whatever you want if you just made your own thing, your new IP. But instead you butcher something that already exists. Then you got people who like the original
Yeah,
with
pretty much
pitchforks.
you isolate the fan base of the IP that you're trying to use. It happened with Teen Titans Go. Like,
yeah, exactly.
when
That's
you
a good
look
example.
and see that people have no respect for the source material, it will never end up good. It will never be a good thing.
Yeah, it never does.
We've seen
this time and time again
with Teen Titans Go. That is one of the worst shows ever made. They took one of the most loved cartoons. Teen Titans was fucking great series. I mean, I can't really think of a better Toonami era kind of like teen, tween, cartoon. So well done. And then you go and, turn into Teen Titans Go, and it's just
they just butchered it.
disgusting.
It's like literally, and the reason they do this is because if they did make a new show, completely new, not an existing franchise, not as many people would watch it because there is no fans. You're starting from scratch. You have 0 fans. But literally, that would be better because then you don't got the old fans with pitchforks up your ass, like getting mad because you ruined their thing.
The fan base. Like, the only reason Teen Titans Go got away with it is because it was 100% geared towards children. So, like,
yeah, right.
They still have a viewer base because kids will watch anything.
Yeah, exactly. But this is, this is for adults though. So
this is
Velma.
Yeah. And I'll give you another example. Look at The Witcher. I mean, they showed blatant disregard and disrespect to the IP, and it's a garbage fire. And they literally lost their leading man, who was kind of probably the best person to play Geralt. And I think 90% of their viewer base probably isn't going to watch the new season of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happens.
And they're going to lose so much money because they basically allowed a IP to just get disrespected. It just makes no sense when you do that. So, listen, here's the biggest problem that I have with it. How can you take a show like Scooby-Doo, make a spin-off, and not even have the main fucking character?
Yeah, Scooby is literally not even in it. And I know it's not called Scooby-Doo. Like, I guess that's the reason, but that's still, like, absurdity. Like,
why have Scooby-Doo characters and not have Scooby-Doo in it?
Yeah, it's...
Here's the thing. You take out literally the only, one of the most recognizable characters
Yeah.
in cartoon history, why make it anything Scooby-Doo? Like, it's
Yeah,
not
what's the
Scooby-Doo.
point?
There is pretty much the characters are nothing like any of the characters.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just
They just share names.
Scooby-Doo in name and nothing else. Like,
Yeah. They share the names,
it
and
has
that's literally it.
absolutely nothing to do with it.
And if they were planning to get some Scooby-Doo fans on board with this show, like, oh yeah, this show's gonna grow up with you. You know, you watch Scooby-Doo as a kid, you grow up, you watch Velma. That's not gonna work because this is literally like very, very loosely Scooby-Doo, like we just said. Like, so the people that like Scooby-Doo are not gonna be like, oh, this is Scooby-Doo for adults, right? No, it's not Scooby-Doo for adults. That's literally just not what it is.
They could have easily done something like that. You know, there's a lot.
They could have. That actually would have been
probably
cool.
Majority of the Scooby-Doo fans are adults at this point. I mean,
Yeah,
there's been
for sure.
so many different iterations. You could hit people that are in their 40s, 30s, and 20s probably. You know, because like, what's new Scooby-Doo? And like the Scooby-Doo Zombie Island, Cyber Chase, you know, those movies in that era, and like what's new Scooby-Doo is probably stuff that we would have been watching. The older cartoons and stuff people in their 40s, 30s, and maybe 50s would have been watching. And like, there's just so much shit that you could do. And it's already kind of like adult centered. Like, you wouldn't have to do that much. You would just make, you would pretty much just play on the tropes like that. Shaggy and Scooby are clearly stoners. You play on that heavier. There was ways that they could have done that, and it could have been really funny, and it could have just been like stoner comedy, and it would have probably been pretty good.
It probably would have done at least fairly well. Like, even if it wasn't a massive success, I'm sure it would have gotten some people watching it that actually liked it.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the biggest botch jobs I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, also, I just want to mention this really quick. Like, Velma has, like, in the show, she has, like, schizophrenia. And I guess that's supposed to be, like, another representation thing. Like, oh, yeah, people with mental illness and stuff. But it felt really out of place. Like, it felt like they shoehorned it in randomly.
Yeah, there's what's the way to put this? Like, some of the trends that are going on right now are just kind of asinine. Like, mental illness is trendy right now.
Yeah, I actually hate it.
And it's like, honestly, I think we can both agree we kind of struggle with, mental health in one aspect or another to a certain extent. And to see it kind of like glorified and glamorized, and people use it as an excuse.
It's horrible.
And, I mean, it's so disheartening, because it's like, you know what? These are real struggles that a lot of people are going through.
Yeah, exactly.
And people that are actually struggling with these things, and are, trying to fight through them, are not using them as excuses. They're not saying, woe is me, feel sorry for me. They're not saying, oh, this is my behavior, blah, blah. Like, they don't want to be like this. Like, it's not fun. It's not cool.
Right.
Nothing about it. Like, it's horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So why go and glamorize and try and kind of glorify stuff that it does not need to be glorified? There's nothing good about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it felt so random. Like, it was toward the end of the first episode too, and I was just like, okay, that's a thing, I guess. Like, what the fuck? Like, so weird. And and characters, like, there's ways you can have a character represent something and be respectful of it. And I'm not saying it was extremely disrespectful. Like, it wasn't the worst thing ever, but it just felt shoehorned in. That's my point.
Well, they did not do a single thing well, from what I've seen.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
there's not a single thing that they've done well. Pretty much every single demographic that you could have hit if you're talking about, if we broke it down. ScoobyDoo fans, they pretty much insulted ScoobyDoo fans the entire time.
Yeah.
So you have a huge, huge audience base that you pissed off right there. Then I've seen, because I have listened to commentary on this previously, just because everybody is talking about it, and people of Indian descent are speaking very ill upon this, saying basically it just does, it's tropes of Indian girls being kind of awkward and losers, and a lot of, people are taking offense to that because they don't want to be represented like that, and that's completely understandable, because why would you want to be represented like that? So that's a audience base that they're basically pissing off. Would be a pretty big one. They're making edgy jokes that are kind of like poking fun at the left, and they don't like that type of shit, and you kind of have to know your audience base.
Yeah.
So people who are more like left leaning are pissed off about this show, and that's who you would think would be like the target audience to try and have on your side, and they're pissed. And then obviously people that lean right probably wouldn't be trying to watch the show anyway, but pretty much their shit on with a lot of media and stuff like that, so they would obviously not like this and be pissed. So pretty much you're isolating just about everybody. So then the question that needs to be asked is, who is this targeted to, and who are they expecting is going to like this and follow this?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's for like what do you call it? Like outcasted young not teens, but young women that have fucking schizophrenia, I guess. I don't know. I could not tell you. That's the most confusing thing about this whole thing. It's like, who is this for?
The victim complex shit is just kind of getting out of hand. Everybody wants to be a victim nowadays.
Yeah,
and when that,
in some way.
That just is kind of just proceeded through media, and it's kind of just gotten worse and worse and worse. And I think people are genuinely tired of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But, it's kind of like starting to get irritating how over politicized everything is becoming. Like, aren't we watch shit for entertainment, right? Like, why are we trying to get? I'm so tired of having politics infused in
they're
everything
trying to
consume.
It's almost like they're trying to rile people up with these shows and shit like that.
Like,
which is never a good idea.
To be entertained. And forget about politics and forget about the outside world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole point of entertainment is to be able to put something on for a little bit and be able to zone out and not think about bullshit. Because as soon as you turn that off, all you get is bullshit. So
but it's like full front and center in these shows. It's like that's the point of these shows is the politics. And I don't understand that. Like, who is that for? Because that's a very specific audience. Like,
I think we just have, I obviously, if anyone listens to this, anyone that has listened to our show knows that we're pretty big anime fans, and like, just watching anime, I don't see much politics thrown in there. Really ever, and I don't know if that's just based off of how Japanese society is ran and whatnot, but like,
I think they're just
Kaisen now, and there's no fucking politics involved.
Yeah, because they're not focused on agendas. They're focused on making something that people want to keep watching or consuming. They don't give a fuck about, we want to push this this narrative or whatever through our show. Like, they don't care about that. They really don't. They want to make something that people like, and it's that simple. And I like that. That's how it should be. And I'm not saying every show, like, not in Japan is like that. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying Velma is like that, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, the ratings of this show says it all.
This
So
is rated worse than Dragon Ball Evolution.
yeah, I saw
But
that.
that doesn't tell you something.
That's bad. That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, even critics, it's below 50% with critics. And, normally critics eat shows like this up because,
Yeah.
the critics seem to love politics infused shit.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, it seems like they kind of like this stuff for some, or I don't know. If no one's on their side, critics will be on their side usually with stuff like this. But it seems like they're not even on their side. So you must have done something wrong. Literally, don't even hate watch this show because it's like not even worth your time in that regard either. Like, it's not even like it's cringy, but it's not so cringy that it's like, oh, I'm gonna watch this because I can make fun of it. Like, it's not even fun to do that.
It's pretty much like, sometimes things are so bad that they're good.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
bad that it's like, wow, this is horrible. But this is not one of these.
It's
boring,
not that. Yeah.
dry, and just not funny. Pretty much, I don't know how they got funding for it. And the fact that HBO willingly put the shit up, I mean, usually HBO has a really good track record of,
Yeah, I think HBO's usually
quality
fine.
content for the most time.
Yeah, to my knowledge.
Most part. I mean, look, Game of Thrones was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But, like, I used to watch HBO all the time back in the day. You had the Ricky Gervais show. Like, they had plenty of stuff that was pretty good. Because
Yeah.
HBO did just drop, I think, The Last of Us. And that's doing
Yeah,
really
they
well.
did. Yeah, I heard that was good.
So, clearly they're capable of making good content. And then they let out a dumpster fire like this. And who knows, maybe they did it on purpose. All right, well, thanks for listening, guys. This was the Lucid Rain podcast talking about potentially one of the worst shows ever produced.
Certainly up there, I'd say. I mean, it beat Dragon Ball Evolution. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.